let's get away from having a bunch of vests, and let's get into maybe some of these customizations with the vest that we can make it unique to us or specific to our needs.
Alrighty, here on this episode of Light on the Trail podcast, first, a fellow with a product I wanted to talk about, and with the new year coming, some people might want to hear about something new and something different. That's what got me excited about it. So I found Gazela. I'm here with Caleb Scoville, founder of Gazela. We're going to kind of get into this and hear his story and what he has to offer with his new vest or pack, and anything else exciting kind of going on with it. I'm glad I found you when I did, and oddly enough, I guess the algorithms worked right or whatnot, and it was like, here's a little ad, and I was like, never heard of them. Clicked it, and this guy is like getting after it, and you're starting, and you seem like and we kind of talked. You actually podcast for a little bit. You seem very creative, and you're an outdoors guy. But Caleb, I'll let you kind of explain, introduce yourself. But yeah, so just tell me a little bit about yourself, and then we'll kind of get into the nitty gritty of the company and packs and stuff.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you. And thank you so much for having me on. I've got two sons, and the other day, it was, I think, the same day or the day after when you reached out, I was like, hey boys, I am going to be on a podcast. And my oldest son, who was a teenager, he was just kind of like, okay, whatever. And my 9-year-old was like, whoa, that's so cool. And I was like, you're my favorite. You're my favorite. Yeah, he's my cheerleader sometimes. But yeah, I'll go through it real quick, and you're welcome to pause me or jump in and ask me further questions on it. But now, my name's Caleb. I grew up in the Pacific Northwest, so in a little city, not really little, but in a city outside of Portland, Oregon, called Vancouver. So on the Washington side, right across the river. So I pretty much grew up. I grew up with kind of dual citizenship between Oregon and Washington, which was a very interesting way to be. And then I moved out to Utah for college. I went to college out here, and then ended up staying here. I got married, had 2 kids, and now I'm locked. I am locked in for the next, 9 years or so, until my youngest graduates from high school. I started running when I was in 7th grade, so I did track in junior high. And then when I got into high school in 9th grade, I started doing track and cross country. And I started because I grew up doing Boy Scouts. I'm an Eagle Scout.
Hey, me too.
Oh, nice. Yeah, it was great, and I attribute a lot of things to scouting, and I got to do lots of cool creative things. I love doing things with my hands. I love building. I love making stuff, and Boy Scouts was a really great place to be able to do a lot of things, especially in the outdoors. I don't love camping, and I think part of that's because when you camp in the Pacific Northwest, I would say that 75. Not that I can really qualify this because I didn't keep track of all my campouts, but rained out. But when you're out in the middle of nowhere, even if it's rained out, you have to stay where you are. So there were a lot of semi-traumatizing experiences.
Oh no,
rain camping growing up. Anyways, so yeah, because of a merit badge for Boy Scouts, I got into running because I was doing an individual sport versus a team sport, and I had played soccer for several years before that. And I just fell in love with running. I fell in love with pushing myself. I fell in love with just becoming stronger and faster, and the team aspect is also unique in track and cross country because you're on a team, you're competing by yourself, but you're also competing with a team. So that was really cool, and I had some great friendships as well. And then I tried out for the college team when I went to college, and I missed out on making that team by a couple people, because NCAA standards are, they say you can only have this amount of people on your roster.
Oh, okay.
So like you can only have 15 guys, for example, that are working out with the team. And I was like number 17 or 18 or something, but I got into triathlons after that. And I did some triathlons for a little bit.
Okay.
I did a half Iron. I've done 2 half Ironman races. That was a while back. I really enjoyed those. What else? And then that's when, after I got, when the year that I got married, which was 2008, I was training for the St. George Marathon, which is in southern Utah. And it's beautiful, gorgeous, red rock, if you've seen pictures of that. And and I qualified for the Boston Marathon by 2 minutes.
Hey, all right.
So that was great. And then I was able to run Boston the following year. And since then I've run, I think I've run 6 or 7 road marathons. The most recent one was in Tucson, this past, about a year ago. Yeah. December of last year. And then I started getting into trail running. Now, I had done trail running here and there because if you live in Utah, you're right by the trails, you're right by the mountains.
You have to.
Yeah, exactly. And even in Washington, I had done some trail running as well. But yeah, and I started just doing more things. I started like running up to the top of the mountains, and I really enjoyed that. And then my first ultra marathon was the Pocatello 50 in Idaho. And that was a 50-mile race.
Oh.
And I had trained so hard for it. Like I don't know if I was more ready for almost any race at that, well, maybe with the exception of a couple. I had some bad almond milk the night before. Didn't realize it was bad. But we kind of traced it back to this almond milk that we had gotten in Pocatello. And I had food poisoning.
No.
And it was kind of weird. I like couldn't eat anything. I couldn't drink anything except for like Coke and Mountain Dew. Those were like the things that like I could get down at the aid station. Man. But there were only a couple aid stations that served that. So that was interesting. I almost didn't finish. I got to mile 47, and there was an aid station like in the woods, and this guy was like, "You're gonna finish. Just have a seat." And I stayed there for like 45 minutes at this aid station, and he goes, "Do you want some?" Well, I don't think he said. He goes, "Here's some bone broth. Here's some beef broth." And I was like, "Okay," sipped it, and I was like, "Okay, feeling a little bit better." He goes, "You want some watermelon?" I was like, "Yes, I do." And
okay.
Watermelon. And then he was like spraying me with misting me with water.
Okay.
And then he was like, "Do you want a quesadilla?" And I was like, "Yeah, that sounds amazing." And so I had a quesadilla, and then I finished the race like 5 hours longer than I had anticipated. So, it was great.
Woo! Yeah, you got to experience everything. It seems like that's a heck of a distance too. Very good, man.
It was great. It was great. It's a good time in the mountains.
Right. To say that's awesome. Again, I would love to just be able to go out to Utah and kind of have a set a race there in the future just to kind of run through it. Same, I'd love to go through, Arizona parts and everything too. But having that as your backyard is probably pretty great.
You, you can cut this out if you want. I'm totally fine with you keeping it in. If you come out to Utah, let me know beforehand so I can plan ahead. But you definitely have a place to stay, and there's I'm kind of in the heart of lots of mountains. So
oh man, I'll have to mark that down. I'll let the wife know.
Put it in there.
Awesome, man. So yeah, what a fantastic background. Yeah, you're all, outdoors and running and an athlete. I'd love to do an Ironman as well. I think the cross country goes into the trail and the track, and then the trail running with the biking, and they all kind of feed to each other and everything. So with that, yeah, the awesome background. So what happens, or I'll put it this way, because I'm sure you'll kind of answer the question. But so what is a common issue that you've experienced with packs or gear that kind of led you into wanting to create your own pack? And I've seen some of the content you have, through your Instagram, but you kind of explained it a little bit of like, I got some material, I found this pattern, so whatever. But so, what was kind of the nudge where you were like, I like this running thing out here on the trails. However, I think I could improve on these problems. So what's the common issue that a common consumer like me are bumping into or having problems that you're kind of solving?
Yeah. So, I mean, just a little bit of background on that as well. When I was doing my first ultra marathon, I mean, people were running with camelbacks. That was like 12, 13 years ago. And I was using handhelds. So I had the handhelds strap on, run with the handhelds, right? And those worked fine. So then when I was still doing trail running, but less trail racing and more road racing. But about 10 months ago, so I mean February, March, it actually was, so I'm divorced, dating, and I connected with a young lady, with a woman who had done the UTMB World Championships.
Oh, right on.
She wasn't a pro, but she had qualified. She probably is a pro, but who knows? She had gotten one of the golden tickets at one of the UTMB races, and so we had connected. We were talking, and I was like, you know what? I don't know what it is, but I'm inspired to do some UTMB races. I had wanted to do Ultra Trail du Mont Blanc for years, but I kind of set it aside because I was focusing on road marathons for a little bit. But that dream came rushing back with this beautiful woman. And so as we were chatting, I was like, okay, yeah, this is definitely something I want to do. So I wanted to start off with like a 25K. So I signed up for the 25K in Northern California at the Canyons UTMB.
Oh, okay.
And I knew I wasn't going to necessarily need a hydration vest, but I was like, okay, I can't spend. I mean, if you want to get a hydration vest that's inexpensive, you can do it for somewhere between like $75 to $115. If you want like a nice one, good material, nice material, but at the same time tough material, and it's got the bells and literally when with some of the Solomon vests, the whistles that are kind of built in.
Mine has a whistle on it.
Yeah, it's great. I think it's great. Like you're paying anywhere from $150 to $200 for these vests, and so and I don't necessarily disagree that they should be or that they shouldn't be that much money. But for me at the time, I was like, I just bought a new pair of shoes. I just bought a new pair of socks. I just registered for this race that was more than my shoes and my socks combined. I can't afford to get a hydration vest right away. And so I went to the thrift store and I bought a jacket and 2 t-shirts, and I made my first hydration vest out of that just from watching like this little thing on YouTube, this guy who had made it, and I was like, okay, I can do that. And I did it, and it was cool. I mean, and there's something really cool about like building my own stuff, making my own stuff, and then using it, even though it is definitely in the beginning, like those initial prototypes, inferior to some of these, the Solomon, the Nathan, the Ultimate Direction, the Ultraspire, but that was great, because then I started learning a little bit more about the materials, started learning more about, okay, this is how the pockets work, and about sizing. And then I signed up for the Speed Goat 50K here in Utah. The toughest 50K in the world is what people say. Yeah, there's more. It's 30 miles. Well, technically, I think it's 32 miles, and there's more than 13,000 feet of vertical.
Jeepers.
So it is pretty dang hard. And anyways, so then that's when I bought, and this goes kind of back to one of the things that you had said, Frank. I went and I bought a Salomon Ultra Lab 10, took it home, made a pattern out of it, copied it, put it onto paper, traced it, just real. I mean, I tried to do a good job, but I knew that no matter how good I did, it wasn't going to be quite as good. But then I returned that vest, and I made my own vest out of, this time it wasn't out of like a performance jacket. It was out of a like mesh plus 2 performance, like polyester breathable spandex.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Polyester t-shirts, running shirts. So I made that vest, and that was an improvement. And it was so fun to like be able to kind of customize my own stuff, right? Like, oh, it'd be nice to have a pocket in the back for my phone because then it'll bounce less or whatever. So then I did that, did a bunch of training in that, ran the Speedgoat 50K, and it was, it was, I mean, I wouldn't say it was great because it was definitely like, even I could tell as I was using it, I was like, yeah, this is not like a professional, well-made running vest, but I was still learning about the process, and that was just so cool. So after I had finished that and was thinking about the next stage, like, is this something that I want to keep doing? Is this good? I was thinking about adjustability. I was thinking about sizing. I was thinking about all of the different vests that I'd seen in the different running stores that I had gone to. And I realized that cost was one of the big things for me, as far as like, should I get one? Should I not get one? Should I get one that's maybe not as expensive versus one that's maybe a little bit higher quality and better performance? So cost was a big thing for me.
I'll just to bounce off that real quick.
Yeah,
of course,
please.
We're all conscious of what we're spending and looking into, especially when we're like, well, shoes is probably a top thing that we look into when we're going running. If you're getting something new, very expensive, and then definitely with vests or certain apparel and other things. And the vest I have now, that Salomon, I think it's a Skin 8. I think I've had it for getting close to 3 years.
Oh yeah.
And part of it is because I'm like, it's fine. Like, I'm used to it. It's cool, but it does have a hole in it. It's kind of, I would like to try something else. And now I see it's kind of, I might have got a size a little smaller or it's shrunken over time. But anyway, yes, the reason I don't have one new one yet is because I'm like, how much is this one? Oh, I'll wait. So continue, sir. Yeah.
No, that is perfect. And what you were just saying about like, well, let me clarify. So part of you wishes maybe you had gotten one size smaller?
Slightly bigger.
Slightly bigger. Okay. So we are going to talk about that as well. So yeah, that's when I was like, okay, I can make my own vest again. But in order for the manufacturers to really be able to see like, this is what I want, I needed it to be closer to the actual vests that are being sold. And so that's when I bought a Salomon Salomon Advanced Skin 5. And then later, the one that I'm going to show you is an 8. And then I just modified it. And then I just sent it. So Salomon, if you're listening, I don't know if there's anything you can do about that, but that's what I did. Anyways, so now coming to like the modifications. So the first thing, and we'll go right with what you were saying, Frank, is I remember talking to because I used to be a teacher and I used to coach, and several of my athletes are trail runners, racers. One of them, when I was talking to him, he was like, yeah, I feel like mine was a little bit too big and I wish I had gone a size smaller. And then I heard that a few different times, because the problem with a vest is that and people that have bought these before, you know this. And if you haven't, just know that vests, they come in sizes. They're like buying a shirt or buying a jacket. And if you get a size that's too big and then you go run 100 miles and you bleed in it and you sweat in it and you cry into it and you fall down on it, which I have done all those things on the trails, you can't return that.
Right. It's your vest. No.
You're stuck with it. And even if it's a really great vest, if it's a little bit too big or a little bit too small, it's kind of annoying, right? So I actually went back to the running store. They're probably like, hey, he always comes, and I guess I did buy a vest eventually to tweak, but I laid out all of the vests on the chairs that were in this.
Oh, okay, awesome.
And I started measuring. I've got the
like Taylor's tape, like the
yeah, exactly. And I was just measuring all of these. And the thing that was really interesting is, and luckily they had an extra small and they had an extra large. And so I was able to see all of the vests in between.
Okay, a full spectrum. Yeah.
Which was awesome. I'm so glad. And they were all the same. Like they were all Solomon Advanced Skin.
Okay.
Lives that were there as well. So the back. So the distance from here to here.
Okay.
Between an extra small and an extra large, there was a 1 inch difference.
Oh, wow.
That was it. And then everything else exactly the same. The only thing that wasn't really the same, the only thing it's the side part, is this area right here, which makes sense, right? When you put on something that's a little bit too small, you can kind of feel it stretching in that direction.
Yeah.
But then I started measuring from the extra small to the small to the medium, large, and it was like going up by like a half inch every single size or so. And I was like, okay, if there was a way to change that, then that would be great. But I knew, based on my previous experience with camelbacks and with just backpacks in general, that if you're going to use like the straps to tighten, it's still going to be bouncy because you're not really getting that hug fit.
That's a good way to put it. Yeah, the hug, the grab. Yeah.
And also sometimes feels kind of like a glove, like a vest kind of fits like, or should fit kind of like a glove, right? Like kind of suck onto you. But anyway, so I came up with a way to attach one of the hardest things that I've ever done in my entire life was to take a Solomon hydration vest and cut it right
down
the middle. I was like, what am I doing? I trust myself. So what we got here, and you can go to I've got a website that has
this is, I've been waiting for you to break this out to see it. I'm excited for this. This is fascinating.
Yeah. So on this end, you've got a piece of fabric.
Okay.
And it's been sewn into a grid. And then you've got these holes. And I'm not exactly sure at this point what the holes will, like, if there's going to be like some rubber, like
a grommet or something around it.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Like some kind of grommet or whatever. But this, I actually just burned a hole with a wood burner.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
And it actually holds surprisingly well. I have used it and really tried to stretch it. And then on this end, you've got these hooks, kind of like when you're like on pants where you don't want to see like a button or anything.
Oh, yeah.
Like kind of hooks onto it. I got this idea actually. Well, it led what I'm about to say led me to eventually get here, but the clasp that's on the back of a woman's bra, for example.
Oh yeah.
I tried to do that initially, but it was just harder to get that on there. But I was like, you've got a lot of tension, you've got a lot of strength, but those hold really well. So then I did some more research, found these kind of nylon fabric hooks, sewed them into this piece, and then those attach to the grid, and then this little sleeve fits over and protects from any abrasion.
And looks okay, yeah.
On the inside, and from when the arm is going back and forth when you're running as well.
Okay.
So yeah. And
very good.
So then I was like, I don't even know if this is really going to work, because I've never seen anything quite like it. I mean, based on the type of material, based on the type of hooks, it just made sense that it would work, but until you actually test it, you never know, right? So then I did a trail race. Well, I had my cousin, who is 6'5", 210, and I had him try the vest on at like the longest.
Oh,
point.
okay.
And he was like, "Oh yeah, that feels pretty nice." And then the following week, I went to Colorado for a Cirque Series trail race. It was like a 9-mile trail race up at one of like the highest. It's close. It's in the mountains, kind of close to like Boulder, or so. Oh, Arapahoe Basin,
cool.
Basin. And after the race, this is kind of weird, but I like walked around and I was like, "Hey, can I ask you a favor? Will you try my vest on? I know it's kind of gross because we just ran, but I had a woman who was probably 5'2". I mean, I'm not even going to say weight, but 5'2", petite, right?
Right.
And I put it on one of the smallest settings, and she hooked it all up and said, "Oh yeah, that feels pretty good." And I was like, "Okay, that's great feedback." Like better feedback would have been, "Hey, go run the course again in this vest," but you can only do so much. So yeah, that was awesome.
That's a really good idea. Yeah.
Really good feedback. And I had another woman who was a little bit taller, a little bit bigger, try it on. And then I had two more guys, a guy that was kind of my height, but a little bit more built. And then another guy who was taller and about as skinny as me. And yeah,
able to kind of get a kind of generalized feel and
exactly.
A good little test, a little taste for it with some people and stuff. Yeah, exciting.
Yes, exactly right. Yep. So that was kind of the beginning of this. Like, okay, someone starts running and they lose weight, which happens even to people who are already in pretty good shape. You start running trail races and you go longer, you may start losing weight. Vests, it's a little bit of a losing battle with these vests because now you're a size smaller, but sometimes you finish a race and life happens and you take 3 months off or 6 months off and you gain weight. That happened to me, and I'm naturally pretty slim person. So
it's a product that like you're saying, one, you can adjust if you got the wrong size with something else. Now you could feel it or move it and be like, "Oh, it does feel better this size," or it can grow with the person. I've
yes,
recently heard, probably within the year or two, I won't mention other there's a couple companies that will, if you return the pants, like they sell like workout pants or shorts or something, and it's like, "Hey, you're going to lose weight. If you send these back to us, we'll send you the next size smaller." Like, that's a cool idea. So like with this, like you're like, "Hey, you don't even have to send it back. Like this grows with you, give or take whatever you're going through or size and stuff." So yeah, again, when I first saw it and was looking through things, I was like, dang, like, duh, like that's a great idea. So very cool. Yeah. So you've got like some great prototype, like testing and stuff and building it and getting materials together. Let's see where do I want to go with this. One, if you can touch on kind of and that might be where you are now, or I'm not sure exactly what stage you're in, and we can get into that too. I think that the kind of the building and testing and manufacturing part of it's really cool. And I know like materials get get real in depth when people are talking about, our upper is made of this type of fiber and we have this tech tea, whatever, blah, blah. And it's like, how do you even go about like researching and obtaining material to test with? And then like, I guess, and then we'll talk about how you came to the name, I guess, and the name of Gazela. So fascinating stuff about fabric. What you kind of mentioned, I guess you kind of pick up stuff at the store and we're testing things, but is that kind of where you're at now with like looking to more specific material or specific things with, I want to say the Super Senda, the one, if that's the first kind of the model here, but okay. Or we can touch into the name of it because I'm kind of interested in that too.
Yeah. And did you want me to also at some point talk about the customizable back panels?
Yeah. Oh yes, definitely. Yeah.
So as far as the materials go, yeah, I mean, for me, it was more about like, let's spend as little money as possible, getting some of the highest quality ingredients, materials, textiles. Yeah. And the nice thing about a thrift store is you've got people that are donating their running shirts, jackets, and it's some of the best material. And so that's great. As far as like how I go about doing that, that was why that was part of the reason why I eventually just bought a Solomon vest to modify, was because I was like, I don't know if I would ever really be able to. I would. It would just take a long time, and I'm a little bit impatient, and also I'm like, I just want to make this happen, So it was more of I have a manufacturer overseas, and I want them to be able to see the actual vest, and it's really the only way for them to be able to say,
visualize it, and
exactly what we're building. This is exactly what he wants. So that's exactly how I went about it. So if you were to say, hey, what are the different materials? I'd be able to say like, yeah, it's made out of nylon, polyester, spandex, lycra, like the main materials. But if you ask me to go a little bit further and talk about like the special type of mesh that's used, there is a name for this. In fact, I have a buddy who just released his first shoe after 2 years of running. In fact, I'll tell you about him. It's a minimalist shoe that you can repair. You can like fix the rubber lugs,
change out the outer. Yeah. Okay. Okay.
So it's really cool. I actually just thought of telling you about him, but talking to him, and he was like, oh yeah, it's this type of mesh. I looked into that for my shoe, and it's like, okay, that's great, but I don't have time to look into all of those details when I know that this is what I want. So that's exactly how I went about it. I bought the Solomon vest, I modified that vest, and then I sent that prototype, because that was the one that I tested on a bunch of people and hundreds of miles on myself. And then I sent it to my manufacturer.
Okay. That sounds smart. It's
a little more practical, right?
Exactly. And that was my thought. Like, that's kind of what you said. It was like, part of it just gets overwhelming. I think about, I'm like, oh my gosh, how do you even go about like this? Like, of course you can and research and talk to this person. That's a big deal. But you're like, let's make a functioning thing I can test and work with, and then we'll have a great starting point.
Yes.
From there. So
exactly.
Okay. Genius. Love it. All right. So now the genius behind the name Gazela. Where did that come from?
So I knew that I wanted it to be like a mountain animal, and a swiftly moving endurance mountain animal, and gazelles and antelopes are definitely fall into that category. And so the first iteration was Zell, because of Gazelle, and I went, okay, Zell. But I used that for like a couple months back kind of back in the summer, and then realized there's that payment card or that payment.
Oh, there is Zelle.
Yeah, it's kind of like Venmo, right? Where
Yep.
accepting payments, and I was like enough people know about Zelle that I don't want them associated. Anyway, so it's interesting coming up with a business name because there's other companies. In fact, there's a wine company over in Europe with the name Gazela. And I was like, yeah, not really a conflict of interest. And people really don't know, like, I mean, there are probably people that know about that company and that are also trail runners, but yeah, so that's
okay.
So Gazela is, well, I actually speak Spanish, and the name of the hydration vest is Spanish, which we'll get to, but Gazela, I just like the way that it sounds. But it turns out it's how you say gazelle in Portuguese and in Polish.
Really?
Which is interesting. Yeah, I think it's Polish. It's one of those languages up in that part of Europe, but I'm pretty sure it's Polish. And then the Super Senda, Senda is the Spanish word for trail, so it's the super trail.
Oh, okay, okay.
And I don't know if Frank, I don't know if you speak Spanish, and there's probably people that don't as well. But the word super is what we'd call a direct cognate over from English into Spanish. So you could say something like "Estoy súper bien." I'm super good. You know,
super. Okay.
Yeah. So the Super Senda is the super trail.
Ah, very cool. Love it. Okay. And you just have like the one style that you're working on right now. There's not like
yes. There's just one vest. I mean, eventually there will be more. And when I talk about the back panels, that's kind of where some of where it's, because one of my goals is to make less and charge less for similar amounts, and helping people and helping the environment. I wouldn't say that I'm like, I don't always recycle. I do pick up my trash off the ground. Okay. but maybe I drive more than I should. I'm not that strict with stuff, but I do know that clothing and textiles and the waste of clothing and textiles is huge. It is a huge thing. And I don't want to be a part of that problem. And at the same time, like, I am going to be making stuff, because sometimes in order to fix the problem, you have to get in there.
Well, you need to be another option that people can go to.
Exactly.
If there's nothing else they can pick from, then they're kind of trying to, pick the lesser of the evils in a way.
Exactly.
And so this will be perfect. To roll into the back parts. So you'll be able to adjust the size of the fit, and then depending on the distance or the race or the adventure or through hike or whatever you're going to do, right? So the back part is going to be interchangeable too. So that will help with, like you're saying, you may not really need to make 3 different types of vests when it's like a vest and 3 different types on the back. So you're wearing the Super Senda with this or with that or these leaders. So go ahead and get into that, because it's a great idea, and it's something that can adapt to whatever your goals are, the race you have coming up.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. Well, very well said. 100% agreed with you. So you'll see up here, there's some excess zipper fabric. Don't. These are not the droids you are looking for.
Don't worry about that.
Just forget you saw that. Also, there's some Velcro here, and that's just because the zippers that I'm working with also come from jackets and clothing that I got at the thrift store, because I use the material, and then I also strip off the zipper and use them. So the zipper that I was using went from up here, and then it ended right here, and I was like, dang it, I am not adding another zipper to 6 inches here. So by itself, you've got just a very minimal vest. You would use this on some shorter runs, or like the race that I did in Colorado, that was just like 10 miles. This was the perfect setup because I could carry my bottles up front, my flasks, and then I didn't really need to have anything in the back, even though there is a pocket. Just trying to show this. There we go. There is a pocket in the back. But if you're going a little bit longer, you need to be able to take a little bit more with you. You've got this additional piece right here.
Here we go. Yeah.
And then it zips zipper on there. And I mean, you could put the next piece over the top of this, but it makes a little bit more sense to just take that off. And then you've got this piece. And instead of it zipping down here, this for the larger size starts up here and comes down along the outline of the back side.
Okay.
And comes up. And so you'd zip that part on and you'd have...
That's the biggest size.
The biggest size, yeah. So that adds additional pockets. It adds additional space. You've got that, like the big pocket where you can put things in. And then something that I actually added since I made those initial videos that you've seen is that these bungee cords, they're removable. So
were they a little higher?
Sorry.
There you go.
Yep, there you go.
Oh, okay.
So there are loops here and here. There are 3 loops over on the other side. 1, 2, and 3.
Okay. And they reach over the back and grab them, or like you can kind of
so like
stuff down.
Like if you on some of the vests and the packs, the bungee cords are kind of attached to the middle part of the vest. These ones are attached to loops that are sewn to the actual body of the vest, essentially. So if you take off one of the panels, you can like for example, I'm going to take on the smallest size, I'm going to hook on these bungee cords here. And if you want the bungee cords, cool. You can have bungee cords. If you don't want them, you can take them off and save them. Save them for
get them out of the way. Yeah.
But it becomes very, very customizable for what you're doing. So you can fit when all is said and done, and you've got that big piece on here plus the bungee cords coming over. I mean, I think it takes the vest from a 10-mile vest to a 100-mile vest.
Yeah.
100 miles asterisk there being aid stations along the way.
Right. It's nice. Someone just may want to have, if you just feel comfortable with the ability, I got to have this with me or whatever. It's going to rain. I got to pack my windbreaker in here, my rain jacket. There's something else, or maybe not. So just again, having that option, the versatility, and guys like toys that we can customize and add new things and stuff. So it's like, dude, I got my Gazela, so I got the new pack, but I got it in this style and I mixed it with this style here, right? And these cool, whatever. So like, that's always a sweet thing to, and people start tweaking things and getting their little groove. Yeah. Very cool. What's the sizes? Or go ahead. Yeah.
Oh, I was just going to say, the now coming back, because when we were talking about, is this the first model? What's going to come out next? I mean, I think there will be additional models that come out, not as frequently and not as voluminous as Nathan Solomon, Ultraspire, etc. But what I would like to do, this is me. I haven't told a lot of people this, so you and your listeners, Frank, are getting the inside scoop.
Hey.
But I would like to do like different materials, because the way that I have this one set up, this is actually, one piece is from like an adult swim shirt, so it's very stretchy.
Oh, okay.
And then this side is from like a performance tech
Yeah.
for running. And then same with this like top little pocket here on the very top. But sometimes it's nice to have something that is a little bit more water resistant, right?
Yes.
Having a waterproof or a water resistant like a jacket material, polyester, like a jacket polyester smooth material could be nice. Maybe it wouldn't be as flexible. Maybe it wouldn't be able to handle as much space as a stretchier material. But yeah, so I think it would be cool to have that. And then I've also thought if like you could have, well, and actually part of the plan is to have like two colorways for the base vest.
Okay.
But then have other colors that you can kind of mix and match with that as well. So if you were like, oh, the vest is blue, but I like this yellow piece. So you could have a yellow one, and then having like different patterns, I think would be pretty cool, like trees and birds and little outdoor lions. Who knows? But yeah, that's kind of the idea is let's get away from having a bunch of vests, and let's get into maybe some of these customizations with the vest that we can make it unique to us or specific to our needs.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, love it.
Sizing. I mean, really,
of the pack. Yeah, the add-ons to the back. Yeah.
Oh, the add-ons to the back. Yeah. So
is there a certain amount of liters or something, or like one's like a 2 or a 5?
Yeah, measuring in liters. So we've got oh man, I always get this. I always have to look this up because I've got so many other vests that I've researched in my head. This is like a 7 liter. Yep, 7 liter vest. So by itself, one back pocket for a bladder, the pockets plus the where you're putting your flasks.
Okay.
7 liter vest. And then or 6 liter vest. Yeah. And then this the mid,
okay,
the smaller of the two attachments, I call them mod panels, modular back panels.
Yeah, perfect.
But this is 3 liters. So
okay, in addition to the 6
up here, and then this spot right here, and then the fact that when you put stuff in between, it has space as well. And then this one is 7 liters. So you can put stuff, not only can you put stuff in here, but because of the stretchy material.
Oh yeah.
It really can expand. Like if you needed to put not only a jacket, even a thicker jacket, gloves, hat, maybe you exchanged it for a hoodie or for a beanie. So you were wearing a beanie, now you're wearing a hat, etc. Like you can fit a lot in there.
Yeah.
So combined, just kind of mixing and matching, but you've got like a 13 liter capacity with the large one and the small one.
Man, I just thought of something that what kind of works with that. And some people I'm thinking of like people setting FKTs or, top performing, like people when they're racing. So some races, they let someone pace you and mule, so they'll carry your stuff.
Yeah.
So a bigger option like that, they're only running with you for a handful of miles. So that gives them ability to kind of carry more stuff if they want to. And also I know some people, if you can afford 2 vests, then if they get to an aid station, they'll just swap out whole vests. But if you get to a certain point or something, if you had like the medium, modular panel or the bigger one, if needed, already set up, then I could come running in, with the base model, and then like, hey, here's and they just zip on the pack on the back of on the back of the Super Senda, and like, good to go. And so
that's a cool idea. That's a really cool idea. Yeah,
it gives people in the kind of the aid stations or the helping crews kind of it can open, if they wanted to do all that, it's kind of fun. It can lead to more things. So love it. Well, is there ideas? Are you just maybe thinking just keeping it with a vest? Or have you thought about like hats or shirt or anything?
Yeah, definitely.
Get into other stuff after that, but
definitely. In fact,
no,
it's not. I mean, the same manufacturer was like, "Hey, we've got these hats," and I was like, "Okay, yeah, send me a hat." And so, I mean, it's super basic, and the material, I mean, it's not like I've got a couple nice running hats, like material, but this is like honestly, I wear this hat running all the time, and it's got a great spot for like a logo, for example. So hats I really like. And then also I'm thinking of ways to like to upcycle and materials. So, for example, making bandanas out of shirts and arm sleeves. I don't know.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if if I've seen tons of people wearing arm sleeves at the different races, but I wear them, and I think that they're the best because it's cold. Awesome. I've got an arm sleeve. I can push it down when I get warm, push it back up. And for some of these mountain races, especially like temperature can fluctuate a lot from the bottom of the mountain to the top to another mountain down to the bottom. So arm sleeves, definitely like t-shirts. But at the same time, trying to figure out like I don't necessarily want to make more
right
clothing and more materials than it really makes sense. Like for me personally, in order for me to feel good about the things that I do, there's got to be a balance between creating and producing stuff and people actually buying it and it actually being like a good product.
Yeah,
so,
I agree. There's definitely a window in a place where somebody, you can tell a brand just starts cranking out whatever and putting their name on stuff, and it's like, oh, here's this thing and here's this thing and here's this thing, and versus this company that specializes in hats and vests, this company that specializes in socks and compression, this company, people like that too, especially with the running, the trail community. I think we have that kind of, for the most part, that same kind of mindset of like, we like being outside. So let's keep outside pretty. Let's recycle and try to take care of our stuff. And we like brands that kind of support that too. So,
yes.
And that's why it's kind of the same realm, with, like I said, hats or with the vest. So that's interesting. And it's very cool. I love a hat. I've got too many, always loving the hats. So, is there, and I know that's why it's exciting to talk about it, because you're kind of in the great steps of it. But is there
all questions are fair game?
Oh boy, is there a time frame? I'm sure you might have a goal, maybe not set yet, but is there like a time frame or a in quote finish line kind of setup yet where this could be available to the public, or do you have your teams going on? Okay,
definitely. So the way that it's working, I mean, if I was a rich man, the vest would already be ready and available, and just by me saying that, I'm not a rich man. So right now I'm in what's called the pre-launch, or Gazela, the Super Senda is in the pre-launch phase. So gathering information. That's why you've seen the advertisements the ads. So getting awareness, letting people know about it. Got lots of people joining the email list, because then come January, maybe February, I'm very optimistic sometimes, and I've learned recently or in the last few years, how to be just a little bit more realistic. But January, I think, could be when I'm doing a Kickstarter. So for people who are not aware of that, Kickstarter is a crowdfunding, a way to raise money by pre-selling a product or selling the product. Sometimes it's made, sometimes it's not made, but the money only actually gets,
if it's all funded, if it's all done.
If it's all funded. Yep, exactly. So thank you. That was great. So January, I'm hoping, is when the official Kickstarter launch will be. I'm working on a lot of filming, going to a bunch of places in Utah, getting a lot of good content, a lot of B-roll of different really cool places and people running with the vests. And then February, what I would love is there's a trail festival. Is it called a festival? There's a trail festival in northern-ish Arizona, and it's called the Black Canyon Ultras or something like that.
Yeah.
And I think it's a 50K and 100K. Yeah, 50K.
I think you're right. It's a big deal. Yeah.
It's one of the biggest. It's one of the biggest trail races in the United States.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's like the second biggest, or the biggest. And so I would love to have the vest done by then. And I'm planning to go to it no matter what, and advertise and talk and just be with people and everything. But it's possible that it won't be done until March. So probably the biggest thing, and maybe Frank, if not, we can point people towards my Instagram or whatever. But there's a website that's technically a landing page, and it's got a bunch of information on the vest itself with some explanations. I'm posting more and more content information. I've got a video on my personal Instagram. I just need to get better at putting it over onto the Gazela Instagram. But it actually goes through this same vest where I've got it laid down on the ground. The camera angle is coming down, and I'm just saying, like, this is what it is, and you get a nice close up. So maybe I will post that tonight. So yeah, the biggest thing is that if you go to that website, put your email address in there, then I'll be able to send out. I think I only send out 2 emails as of right now, like automated emails, like a follow-up.
Oh, right.
And one after. And then as we are getting closer to the actual launch, I will email and say, okay, we're 30 days out or whatever.
Okay. Perfect. Yeah.
Did that answer your question?
Yeah. My gosh. Now I'm thrown off. What did I ask? Oh my gosh.
I think you were asking, like, is there
the time frame? Yeah.
People can buy the vest.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. A goal. Yeah. The potential time of when we could purchase it and get like hands on and stuff. So
yes.
Awesome. That's right around the corner. Yeah. That's exciting. Well,
I mean, there's some things outside of my control, right? Like with my manufacturer, they're really nice, but sometimes it's hard to communicate. I'm going to have to go through a couple back and forth iterations, possibly another prototype, but I think that February could happen. March, I think is a lot more likely, but who knows?
Still, that's not. I mean, that's great. That's great to have the gears. The gears are moving. The things are going in the right direction. We mentioned before we started recording here. I was kind of complimenting that, you're putting out good content, and there's a little clip of you going across the salt flats with the vest and going, and I was like, oh, that looks cool, and I love. I eat up obviously here I am, we're in the trail running kind of media area and that content stuff. And I'm more of an audio guy, obviously, again, here we are, but yeah, it's very cool. I'm like, it's exciting and inspiring to see someone get after it with their products, with their own runs and things. Yeah. So, and definitely send me either, I'll get the correct links as well. I was going to say, I'll try to put links to all the details and information on the bottom of the show notes here, either if you're listening on audio or on the YouTube, where you can watch it. So I'll have it on the bottom there. That'll help out and get somebody excited, because I'd love to see the video you're talking about too, because you kind of get the more details and get as close as you can to learn about it. So, well, is there two things, but one, first, so with 2025, what is your own personal running goals? Do you have a big race coming up, or a distance, or is Gazela taking up a lot of time for you? I know it's hard.
Yeah, I would like. So I've got my left Achilles is kind of on and off, a little bit touchy. I have been doing some So I did the filming in the Salt Flats. So I did some running there, and then 4 days before that, I was in Moab, Utah, so down south, and did some running there, which is there's going to be an awesome video that I'm editing right now that I'll put out there. But yeah, so I'm getting healthy. There's some really, really good things coming. I think I'd like to do the Black Canyon ultras in Arizona. I'll probably do the 50K. I think that's definitely a good possibility. And then in April, I'd like to go back to the UTMB and canyons. So something that I didn't say, because I wasn't even thinking about it, I've got 4. I think I've got 4 UTMB stones. Are you familiar with how the stones work?
No.
It's basically like lottery tickets. By doing certain races, it's a way for UTMB to make a buttload of money. But basically, depending on the race that you do, and
like a qualifying kind of ticket thing.
Yep. So you get these stones, and then you can save them up for a maximum of 2 years, and then you can use them to apply to UTMB, the championships. And so that's kind of the goal. So I'm going to my plan is to do canyons in April, and then Speed Goat again in Utah, and then possibly a longer one. I'll do 100K in canyons. I'll do the 50K because that's the longest distance for the Speed Goat. And then, who knows? I would love to do 100 miles because it's just gnarly, right? It's epic. Yeah. And but at the same time, I'm not gonna I'll do it if I'm feeling good, and if I'm not, I'll do a shorter distance, and I'm okay with that, because 2026, if I can stay healthy, I'll do 100 miles. So,
right, good. Love having the goals and getting out there, and that's exactly saying gnarly when we're looking into hard things. And I'm kind of lining up, thinking of what I want to do for 2025.
Yeah.
Well, I've got my first 100K lined up in March, so I'm excited for that.
What race is that?
Out here in Texas, we have one called the Crazy Desert, I believe, or Desert Crazy or Crazy Desert. I can't remember, but It's a little South Texas, and actually kind of more deserty, almost similar to I would say Utah, kind of. But from what I've heard, it's 3. It is 3 loops, but I've heard it's a pretty solid first 100K kind of race. Nothing too crazy, not terrible climbing, but it's still 62ish miles. So that'll be good. That'll be fun. So I'm looking forward to that and trying to line up some stuff to kind of before that and get it going. But I'm excited because it's going to be tough, and we're all about trying new things, right, and pushing ourselves. So
yeah,
it is what it is. All right, brother. Well, Caleb, where can people? Go ahead. Yeah, explain again if there's other places, either the Instagram, or where people can reach out to you or find you or email you for questions and details and get all the details.
Yeah. So the best. There's a website, and it's a specific website because it's for the information, so you can sign up. It's not the same as the Gazela website. There is a Gazela website, but it really is just a placeholder for the future. So So yeah, well, I will send you that link. And if, and I mean, going to the socials, I've got
and there's
the
you,
Instagram.
yeah, you yourself have your Instagram and got some good stuff on it too. And then the Gazela has its own Instagram,
Yep.
which is,
Yep. And I'll share those with you. The Instagram, the one that's probably the easiest to remember is the Gazela specific Instagram account, and the handle is Gazela Run. So GAZELARUN, Gazela Run.
Awesome. And if you've been listening to this podcast and not watching it, the logo is kind of like a sunset, kind of a colorful.
Yeah.
Yeah. So those that are, hearing it, that's what it looks like. If you're looking it up again, I would look into it just to see the cool stuff that he's putting out, like, oh, majestic feet on mountainside, kind of that cool, that stuff we want to see. We're like, now I'm inspired. Time to go run, like all that. So I'll say goodbye. We'll wrap this kind of up here for the podcast sake of things. But that doesn't mean we have to hang up this. It's just going to be the good cutoff point. So
yeah.
Haha, listeners. But anyway, Caleb, I appreciate you, man. Thank you so much. I know we kind of had to dance with the internet problems and getting timing right and everything. Like you said, we both got kids, and life is life, and Thanksgiving's right around the corner. But man, I do appreciate you so much for taking the time to get on here and talk with me, explain what you got going on, all the exciting stuff coming with Gazela and your the mind behind it. So it's been a treat, buddy. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate that and your time, and glad that we could fit it in. So it's been great being on here. Good luck. You got your listeners are very lucky to have you. So thanks, Frank.
I appreciate it, brother.